Welcome to our chicken dissection movie. I am Colton, and today I will be joined by Eric, Alexis, and Byron in this presentation. For the first portion of our presentation, we'll be going over the external anatomy of the chicken, which specifically consists of the ear and the earlobe, the comb and the wattle, which the comb lies on top of the head and the wattle is right underneath, the feathers, the oral cavity, the brachial vein, and the uropygial gland.
Hi, my name is Eric, and I will be presenting some of the external features of the chicken. So first, we have the ear and the earlobe. The ear is covered in fine feathers to protect it from the dirt. As you can see here are some fine feathers that protect the ear hole. So there's no external ear for the chicken, but only a ear hole. So sound travels through the ear hole, and the ear is used for hearing. Chickens have earlobes that can come in a variety of colors. Here's an example of the earlobe on our chicken, and it can come in other colors in other chickens. And the comb and the wattle are important structures for thermal regulations. So their primary goal is thermal regulations. So this is the comb and this is the wattle. The comb sits on top of the chicken's head and the wattle sits below the chicken's beak. So the chicken can cool itself by circulating blood through these structures. And uh, the comb and the wattle also have a role in the sexual sexual attraction. So brightly colored wattle can indicate good health, and when chickens are born, they are born without wattles and the combs, and when they reach sexual maturity, they would develop the comb and the wattle. They are important structures for mate assessment. And next we have the feathers. Feathers are protected covering of the chicken. They protect the chicken from extreme environments. They provide the chicken with warmth and protect the chicken against wet environments as well. They cover most of the chicken's body except the feet and some other structures, and they're important for flight of the chicken. There are four types of feathers. There are contour feathers, plumule feathers, and filo plumes feathers, and the bristle feathers, and they have different roles and appearances. And next, we have the oral cavity of the chicken. Oral cavity is basically the hole of the mouth. So the mouth of the chicken is where the food enters the digestive tract, and there are taste buds present in the mouth, and as well as salivary glands that secrete saliva into the oral cavity to help with digestion as well as keeping the oral cavity moist and smooth. And next, we have the brachial veins. The brachial vein is very important because it's the common site for blood collection for the chicken. So it is conveniently located right here between the triceps humerales and the biceps brachii. And it is on the other underside of the bird's wing near the elbow. So here's the elbow, it is right here, the vein. Next, we have the uropygial gland. The uropygial gland is right here. It sits on top of the tail of the chicken. It is an exocrine gland and secretes oil. The lipid secreted helps maintain feather condition, helps waterproof the chicken. When the chicken wants to waterproof itself, it covers its feathers with oil secreted by the uropygial gland, and they do it with the beak of the chicken. And this is a behavior called preening.
For the next portion of our presentation, we will be discussing muscles of the wing, thigh, and breast on the chicken. We'll break it up into these three groups. In the wing muscle group, we have the biceps brachii, triceps brachii, and deltoides. And the breast muscles, we have the superficial pectoral and the supracoracoideus. And the thigh and leg muscles, we have the sartorius, the semitendinosus, the semimembranosus, the quadriceps femoris, the ambien, adductor longus, gastrocnemius, and the tibialis anterior.
Hi, my name's Eric, and I will be introducing the muscles of the chicken. So first we have the wing muscles, the biceps brachii. So this is the biceps brachii, and it's a flexor of the wing. It flexes the shoulder joint, the elbow joint, and it is ventral to the humerus. The triceps brachii works against the biceps brachii. So here is the triceps brachii below the biceps brachii, and it flexes the shoulder and extends the elbow joint. It also extends the forearm. And next we have the deltoideus muscle. So here's the deltoideus muscle. It's a sheet-like muscle covering the dorsal shoulder, and flexes the shoulder and rotates the wing outward. And next we have the thigh and the leg muscles. First we have the iliotibialis. So this is a sheet-like muscle that covers most of the lateral thigh, and flexes the hip and extends the knee. It originates from the dorsal surface of the ilium, and then it inserts into the patellar ligament. Next we have the sartorius muscle. Sartorius muscle sits on top of the iliotibialis muscle, and it is right here. The sartorius muscle is right here, and the iliotibialis muscle is right here. It is located at the anterior border of the thigh, and it flexes the hip and extends the knee. It originates from the anterior part of the iliac crest and inserts into the anterior part of the tibial crest and the patella tendon. And next we have the semitendinosus muscle and the semimembranosus muscles are close together, and the semitendinosus muscle extends the thigh and forms the posterior limit of the thigh. It originates from the edge of the iliocaudal spine to the medial condyle of the tibia. And next we have the semimembranosus muscles, which is very close to the semitendinosus muscle. And here is the semimembranosus muscle, and it extends the thigh, flexes the knee, and originates from the ischial tuberosity and inserts into the medial edge of the tibial tarsus. And the next we have the quadriceps femoris. The quadriceps femoris is a major muscle that flexes the knee and also extends the foot. It originates from the calcaneal tuberosity and inserts into the medial and lateral femoral condyle. Next we have the ambiens. The ambiens is a very narrow and spindle-shaped muscle and on the medial surface of the thigh. It originates from the tendon from the pectineal process and inserts into the origin of the heads of the flexor perforatus muscles. And next we have the abductor longus muscle. Here is the abductor longus muscle. It abducts and extends the thigh. So it originates from the lateral ventral edge of the ischium and inserts into the medial surface of the femur. And now we move down to the lower leg of the chicken. So first we have the gastrocnemius. The gastrocnemius muscle is here. It flexes the knee and extends the foot, originates from the medial and lateral femoral condyle, and inserts into the calcaneal tuberosity. And next we have the tibialis anterior muscle, which is a big muscle here on the lower leg. It flexes the tarsal metatarsus forward. That's the primary goal of this muscle, and it's located on the anterior portion of the shank. It originates from the tibial crest and the distal end of the femur and inserts into the proximal end of the tarsal metatarsus.
The superficial pectoral muscle is the largest muscle of the bird and contributes most of the force necessary for the downward movement of the wing. The supracoracoideus muscle lies deep to the pectoralis major and is responsible for elevation of the wing in the upstroke. A tendon from the supracoracoideus passes along the medial surface of the coracoid bone and through an opening formed from the coracoid, scapula, and humerus.
Next up, we have the reproductive system. This is specifically a female chicken reproductive system. At the beginning of the reproductive system, you can see the ovaries and the orange yellowish follicles. Next, it's going to connect to the infundibulum, and it's going to work its way down to the magnum, then the isthmus, and then it's going to actually go to the shell gland or uterus, through the vagina, and then out the vent.
In the reproductive system, the ovary is located in the abdominal cavity on the left side. If the hen is immature or if she's out of lay, the ovary will be very small and red in color. If the hen is laying, large and small yolky follicles will be present. The large yellow follicles are arranged in a hierarchy of size. The largest follicle will be the next to the ovulate and is called the F1. The next largest is termed the F2 and will normally ovulate the following day. The small yellow follicles will continue to grow and replace the hierarchy of large yellow follicles as they ovulate. The small white follicles will replace the small yellow follicles. The stigma is an area of the follicle that is non-vascular and is the site of ovulation. Post-ovulatory follicles is the remaining follicular structure following ovulation of the oocyte. The infundibulum is the portion of the oviduct that catches the oocyte after ovulation and directs it into the magnum of the oviduct. The infundibulum is one of two sites for sperm storage in avian species. The magnum is thick-walled part of the oviduct with the glands that produce and secrete albumin and other proteins that contribute to the egg. The oocyte stays in the magnum for about 2 hours. The isthmus is caudal to the magnum and thinner walled where the egg membrane is formed. The oocyte remains about 1 to 2 hours in the isthmus. The shell gland or uterus is the site of shell formation and pigmentation. The process takes around 20 hours. The vagina is the segment of the oviduct between the shell gland and cloaca. Sperm are stored in tubule glands at the junction between the vagina and shell gland. In the male reproductive system, the seminal vesicles and prostate are absent. The phallus is small and has associated lymph glands producing a fluid which is added to the semen. The sperm after mating is stored in folds in the oviduct by the hen. Good fertility may be obtained for as long as 6 days after insemination. In male chickens, the vas deferens is the duct through which sperm are transported from the testes. Each vas deferens opens into a papilla on the back wall of the cloaca. The testes in the chicken is located along the back near the top of the kidneys. The testes are elliptical and light yellow.
We will be discussing the chicken digestive system. As you can see in the image, there's a lot more features in the digestive system. For the first part, we have the oral cavity, which consists of the mouth, beak, and tongue. Next, we'll work our way down into the esophagus, through the crop, and proventriculus. Then we have the gizzard, small intestines, and the pancreas. Next, we'll go through the liver, the gallbladder, the large intestine, and we'll end in the cloaca, or the vent.
In the digestive system, the overall passage of food ranges from 2 to 24 hours in chickens. It is fastest in growing and laying chickens. In the mouth, there are no lips and no teeth. The beak crushes, tears, and holds food. The tongue is narrow and often triangular with few taste buds but numerous touch receptors. Most birds distinguish food by the feel of it. Very few muscles are found in the tongue of the chicken. The esophagus is a muscular tube running perpendicular and mostly dorsal to the trachea.
All right, so the crop is this veiny thing right here. And what it does is that when food comes down from the esophagus, it temporarily stores the food before it moves on to be digested. The proventriculus is connected to the gizzard, and it is basically the glandular stomach. And what it does is that it secretes peptic enzymes and HCl to aid with digestion. The gizzard is connected to the proventriculus, and it basically has thick muscular walls, so when food enters, the muscles contract and mush up the food in order to make it into like a paste that's easy to digest. The small intestine is basically used to absorb the nutrients from the food. The pancreas is in between the duodenum, and it secretes digestive enzymes to aid with digestion. The liver creates bile that aids with digestion. The gallbladder stores so said bile and sends it into the duodenum to aid with digestion. The large intestine is the last, it basically like absorbs water and it's the last type of absorption that occurs before the food exits the chicken. The cloaca is the butt of the chicken, and what it does in the digestive system is a form of exit for the waste.
For the next portion of the presentation, we'll be going over the respiratory system, specifically the avian respiratory system in the chicken.
The trachea this is basically part of the throat for the chicken and is responsible for the entrance and exit of the gases. So things like oxygen and CO2 enter and exit the chicken through the trachea. The lungs are there to basically help the chicken breathe, and it helps spread the oxygen through the chicken, and it helps the CO2 exit. The chicken has a unique way of breathing because of air sacs that are connected to the lungs. The glottis is the top of the trachea, and it is the point of entrance and the point of exit for oxygen and CO2 as well as other gases, and it's in the mouth.
The syrinx is the vocal organ of birds. It is located at the base of the bird's trachea, and it is also serves as the control of airflow and labial tension.
We will also touch on the urogenital system. We have the kidney and the ureter.
Right. So the kidney is responsible for the filtration of waste from the blood. So it basically cleans the waste, and what it does, it cleans the blood, and what it does with the waste is it sends it down the ureter here. The ureter is connected to the kidney, and the ureter sends the waste into the vent so it could be removed from the chicken's body.
Next up, we have the circulatory system, which is a very complex system, but we'll only be focusing on two main features that are very important: the pericardial sac and the heart chambers.
So first we have the pericardial sac. The pericardial sac is a sac of fibrous tissue surrounding the heart. It is also called pericardium, and it has an outer and inner layer. Its main function is to keep the heart in place inside the chest cavity. Next, we have the heart chambers. The chicken has 4 heart chambers, just like humans do. And there are 2 atria and 2 ventricles. The heart chambers functions to help with circulation and oxygenation of the blood by sending the blood to the lungs.